Alright, Jam guys. So however you see this video, just take out the points in it. That's the main important stuff there. So you know how we normally trade by the three phases of price, which is the accumulation, manipulation, and the distribution, which distributes price at the intended direction. So so we have the manipulation if we are buying. So manipulating the old lows to deliver price higher. So that's basically the whole logic here. So looking at the initial price action, we know that we'll be consolidating and expanding from this point. We had a swing and then we want to long it from this point and then targeting this high, initial high here, because this was New York section, and you know that New York section majority does the distribution. Then given that we are still expanding from higher time frame, so we are not expecting price to take out the lows, right? As you can see, we didn't have this, we just expand higher from this point, from this swing on the Asia section, given that we are expanding from a higher time frame. And now you want to observe that we had a favor gap here, right here, and then this same pattern you want to screenshot it and then have it as your entry model. So we had a favor gap and then we had a breaker block, and then that was a swing closure, right? And then that was the same thing that occurred here, though that this place was a little more like inverted LVG, but at the end of the day it was still an LVG with a breaker block right there. And then that was the same thing that occurred here during London section. We had the swing, the closure, and then we had a favor gap. You are seeing the favor gap there. And then you have to notice that the lows was never taken out. As you can see, if you take your entry from that point, you won't get stopped out. So I had to take my entry during New York section. So that was the whole idea of the trade that I took. And then S&P 500 traded from that point and then made this high, right? So this was an all-time high. And then going back to Friday, this was accumulation, and then price fell to take out the low of Asia. It used it as support to take out the high of the Asia, hence giving us the manipulation that we needed after accumulation, taking out this low from distribution point, right? So accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution down to the old low. So that was basically it. There's nothing hard in it.